Good evening, everyone. My name is Seth Meyers. It is my enormous pleasure to be your Master of Ceremonies this evening. Thank you so much for having me. Breaking the silence, speaking out, listening to survivors. This is our theme tonight, and it seems the theme of the last year or even longer. Every day we hear more and more stories of victims of gender violence speaking out. A Sanctuary for Family has been helping these women become survivors since 1984. This cause is especially close to my heart and my family. Yeah, give it up for it, since 1984. Have you been doing anything since 1984? This cause is especially close to my heart since my wife, Alexi here, joined the Sanctuary family this year. Give it up for Alexi, everyone. I do want to digress from the theme of the evening real quick to speak about my wife, who gave birth to our second son 8 weeks ago. And for those of you who didn't hear, she gave birth to our son in the lobby of our building. That is a true story. The lobby of our building. That wasn't the plan, guys. We were on our, I know as the husband, as the father, that's really your one job, is to get him to the hospital. And I was right, I ordered the Uber was downstairs. And we took the elevator, we got to the lobby, and my wife, who seems to know these things, said, no. We're not getting in the Uber, it's coming now. And then we had a baby in the lobby. And I don't know if you guys have lobbies in your buildings, but it's a real thoroughfare. There's a reason, like, the hospital lobby isn't where they have the babies. We had 2 doormen that did an incredible job of keeping our fellow building tenants out of the way. They've reacted very differently after. Ramon is like family, I think. It brought him very close to us. Kevin cannot look my wife in the eyes. If Sanctuary could spare a counselor, I would love Kevin to have a few words. I did what I think you're supposed to do when your wife has a baby in the lobby. I called 911, and it happened so fast. And thank God, because once you start having a baby in a lobby, you don't want it to be a drawn-out thing. This is a true story. I was on the phone with 911, and the course of the call was me saying, we're about to have a baby, we're having a baby, we had a baby. The baby came out like it was sliding into third base. And thank God it was our second baby. Because that, at the end of the day, too, let me just stress that when you have a baby in a lobby, that's still not the craziest thing that happened. The craziest thing that happened is like a baby. Like, when you watch a baby get born, where it happens is still not as crazy as what is, like, you just don't have a baby, and then you fully do. And I felt so bad. I had to apologize to the people in our building, because so many of them, while this was happening, was saying to me, like, can I do anything? And I was like, I don't know, are you a hospital? But it's crazy. You know, this was our second, and our first, I realized after our first, fatherhood is so much different than motherhood, because motherhood, your body obviously is telling you for 9 months, you know something's happening, you know something's gonna change. For a father, it's just you're just not a father, and then you just are. And your brain takes a few hours to catch up, and when our first son was born, I realized that because I was filling out paperwork. My wife was asleep, and our first son was asleep. And the paperwork, it said mother's name, and I put my wife's name. And then it said mother's phone number, and I put her phone number. Then it said father's name, and I put my wife's father's name. And then it said father's phone number, and I was like, who the fuck knows their father-in-law's phone number? And then I realized, I'm like, oh, I'm the father. Anyway, that's my wife, everybody. Who, I should point out, was a former Brooklyn DA And when you are married to a former prosecutor, you clear all these jokes ahead of time. I hope you guys know. I'm going to move on now to the matter at hand. For nearly 35 years, Sanctuary has been offering a supportive community to survivors of domestic violence, sex trafficking, and other forms of gender violence. You saw some of this impact earlier, but it's really hard to overstate the incredible work this organization has done across the years and throughout all 5 boroughs. As we've been saying for the last 2 years, we are living, I don't need to tell you, an incredibly unique moment and time in this country. Every single day, Sanctuary sees clients who are dealing with this in unprecedented ways. Many of Sanctuary's undocumented clients are afraid to speak out against their abusers for fear that Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, as they're more commonly known, will be waiting for them in the courthouse when they arrive. They don't seek mental health services for themselves or their children to help them heal from the abuse because of a lack of affordable health care insurance. Sanctuary shelters are funded in part through city, state, and federal dollars, which are now in great jeopardy. And while we're worrying about the world's problems, clients walk through Sanctuary's door every day not knowing how they will provide their family with their next meal. These women and men deserve better. When they gain the courage to speak, they deserve to be heard, cared for, and supported. By being here this evening, you are showing the world that you too commit to supporting survivors, to listening to them when they tell their stories, and to providing a caring environment when that is needed. So thank you, everyone, for being here on this very important evening.